Very good morning to all of you, and thank you for having me here. I must first congratulate all the winners for getting this well-deserved awards, and also would like to thank the leadership of ASSOCHAM for doing this great activity, because it is imperative that these type of activities that not only propel the enthusiasm, but also create a lot of awareness, which is very, very important. At a stage when I feel that we are going through a big revolution. If you had followed The Economist a few months back, it, on its cover page, said that by 2030, there'll be the death of the combustion engine. And what does that mean? To me and to all of you, I think, that is a revolution by itself. Combustion engine in the last 2 centuries have been a part and parcel of our life. And when you think of the death of a combustion engine, it means actually a revolutionary change in the way we live, in the way we think, the way we work, and the way we interact. And I think that is the truth. And in years to come, as some of my previous speakers said, maybe it may not end totally in India, but in many countries we would see, for example, in Norway and other Scandinavian countries, almost 80% of the cars they are driving now are EVs. So that is going to be a reality in our own lifetime, where we have to therefore gear up for the change. India as a country, globally integrated, one of the largest economies of the world is looking towards us as leaders. And this puts more challenge on us, because our challenges, again, I would say, is not the challenges which the rest of the world faces. Because these challenges which India has to face is very, very different. And the answers to those challenges have to come from us. No other country is going to provide the answers and the solutions that we need as a nation to address this. Therefore, I think, as somebody who belongs to the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor and somebody who is a scientist by training, it's important for us, therefore, to understand that the technology platform that we have to create for electric vehicle mobility in the country. And that is what I thought I would like to address and bring forth some of the initiatives that we would like to embark upon in partnership with industry to take this forward. Today, all of us know that roughly, this is actually now a very concrete proof with results, that less than 30% of the air pollution that you see in large cities come from automobiles. To be slightly more conservative, it is around 20 to 25%, and depends upon the city you are in. But that is a sizable chunk of pollution that is getting generated. And we also need to see that this pollution, its effect on the health and all, is really, and its economy, is going to be very, very negative. Therefore, electric vehicles have to come, cleaner form of mobility has to come as the way forward. So in the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, we are now setting up on a committee that would look into the future of mobility. What are the futuristic technologies that we need to address together, both in terms of personal as well as public mobility, which the country needs to gear up in the future? Now, there is no denying of the fact that electric vehicle is much more energy efficient. It's almost 4 times energy efficient than that of a fossil fuel vehicle, that is a petrol and diesel. There's also no denying of the fact that electric vehicles will have almost 50 times less the moving parts. Therefore, a vehicle as such that would come up would be much more lighter and much more reliable, much more robust. But the biggest challenge here for us is the batteries, I believe, because they dominate, as of today, the cost and efficiency of any electric vehicle. But what is heartening to note, because of the research and development and innovation that's been happening around the world, the price of battery has fallen from what used to be roughly around $1,000 per kilowatt hour to almost now $200 per kilowatt hour in the last 6 to 7 years. And that is remarkable. We have been able to reduce the cost by almost 3/4, in the last 6 or 7 years of research that has happened across in the world. This is a positive signal. Whenever there is a challenge, it's important, therefore, for us, to answer these challenges through the routes of research that leads into new technology development. Today, as we all know, even with this price reduction in batteries, the cost of electric vehicle is almost 1.5 times to 2 times that of any petrol or diesel vehicle. And most of the countries, even as I talked about Norway, China, Europe, UK, US, almost 30 to 40% subsidy is being provided by the government for these electric vehicles, and which is a tall order for a country like India. I don't think any government would be able to actually have a subsidy scheme that can provide such a huge amount of money to actually push the market forward. Whereas we are doing so for public vehicles. Just now, Mr. Minda talked about it, which is healthy. But what is very, very important for us today is that we have to instead look at other routes, which is, I believe, the research, development, and innovation route to make electric vehicles economically viable today itself. And that has to start from today. We cannot wait for 5 years. And the R&D part of this needs to be focused in a way through a very close public-private partnership to see effectively where we could work together to create a strategy for ourselves. Now, this current policy and strategies that has to be formulated has therefore to be done through a consultative basis. It has to make business sense. It has to make affordability. It has to look at scalability. It has to look at a market-driven factor. And this can only happen today through a close interaction between the government, industry, and the people at large. I must tell you that in the government today, and I have been interacting with governments across the world, even in my previous avatar as the head of international cooperation in the Ministry of Science and Technology, no government in the world is as proactive as the government of India today is to interface and interact with industry and people at large. And I think, setups like these, groups like these are very, very important to create a loop that constantly provides the feedback mechanism to the government to put in policies which are pragmatic, to put in fiscal muscles which help this whole revolution to go forth. Now, when I was talking about Indian situation, all of you would agree with me that the two-wheelers, the three-wheelers, and the small car segment constitutes nearly 95% of the vehicles on Indian roads. And this is what I said is the uniqueness for India. This is something that we need to address, because if we talk of electric vehicle, our targets, therefore, should be in these three segments, which is the two-wheeler, the three-wheeler, and low-cost vehicle. We need not worry so much of the high-end vehicles, I believe. A lot of ample research is going on abroad. There's a lot of research also going on, public mobility in terms of buses, trams, and stuff like that. But for us to make a business sense, for us to have a market-driven strategy, we need to focus on these three sectors. But mind you, the technology challenges and the technology required for these three segments are very, very different. And I always say, people ask, what is that which actually puts India, stand in the Committee of Nations, stand out? It is our innovation. And our innovation to actually cost optimize input resources so that the costs go down. And that is a big challenge. Anything that you do at low cost is not a jugaad technology. It is a more complicated, more difficult technological solution that you need to put in to make things low cost. At the same time, it needs to be robust and reliable. And therefore, we have a big challenge in hand as a nation that needs to get up to work together to address this in a way to provide technological solutions for our own needs. And then we would be able to open a great market, not only for the country, but to the developing world at large. Now, if you look at addressing this in an economic way, as I again said, at the cost of repeating, we have to look very closely into the research and innovation that needs to go into it. And therefore, all of you who are sitting in this August audience, you have to look at investing as research as a part of your enterprise. It cannot be something that you can put it under the carpet. Otherwise, we would be, again, maybe after 5 years down the line, import the whole stuff from China or somewhere else. It's therefore important that government, having realized this, we have now launched or going to launch the second phase of FAME, which is faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. This FAME initiative, manufacturing of electric and as well as hybrid vehicles, this is a consortia approach that we are putting along with the Department of Heavy Industries in the government and the Department of Science and Technology. And in the FAME2 mission, we are as of now going to allocate 350 crores to actually have a concerted investment in research and innovation addressing 3 components, which we feel is very, very important for India. Development of battery and its components, number 1. Number 2, development of motors, using rare earth magnet materials. And number 3, development of electronic control systems and technologies and know-how, which together could be put as power electronics. So in this whole process that we are going to embark upon to promote research and innovation in this, we need to create a consortia approach, because we are totally cognizant of the fact no industry has the capability or also the intent to put in a risk capital that is required to make this happen. Therefore, government is also thinking of creating a risk capital that can go along with this and working on a consortia mode, putting together the industry, academia, startup, enterprise, connect and look at each of these problems in a holistic manner. Now, if I look at the lithium-ion battery program, where we intend to actually invest roughly 150 crores, and we expect a matching funding coming up from industry as well. When I talk about this, R&D effort, we expect a matching investment coming into R&D from the industry as well with a consortia approach. One of the challenges that India has to look is the hot tropical climate, and therefore it also provides a huge problem on the safety risk and reduces the fast charging capability of batteries. So this is something that is very unique for a small car or a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler. Whereas in large cars, you could have a cooling system, an air conditioning system that can take care of battery cooling, which you cannot do in a small segment car and in two-wheelers. So they become very unsafe and difficult to fast charge. The industry, through a consultation with the industry, with SIAM and ACMA, they have come out with 2 critical areas that India needs to concentrate on. One is the pilot plan to validate indigenous cell manufacturing. There is a big need, actually, to set up a lithium-ion manufacturing facility in India as a long-term strategy to support the energy needs, access to suitable infrastructure, and for support the energy revolution, and the industry should be doing so more research on cell design. This needs access to suitable infrastructure for experiments with cell design and get it prototyped to a very high quality. The cost of setting up a prototype line is high for an individual organization, and therefore, as I said, there is a need to access centrally available facility which would help all the OEMs. So government would be ready to set up these central facilities, and these could be in one of the IITs or in one of our research institutions where industries can always get access so that in a consortia mode, we are able to develop prototypes that can be scaled up. Today, the battery cell manufacturing that we are doing is something of the order of 180 to 230 watt-hour per kilogram, which is available, but the need is, for our requirement, is of the tune of around 300 kilowatt-hour per kg. Now, cells with improved high-temperature performance, this is another big challenge for a tropical country like India. The existing cells do not provide enough efficiency to work in hot ambient conditions, and therefore we need to develop R&D project to work to develop solid-state batteries that is inherently tolerant to high temperature. And this is crucial to make electric vehicle viable in India at a cheaper cost. So this is one aspect that we need to look into the battery program. The second area that we are looking in is high-efficiency motor drives using rare earth materials, where we would like to invest about 100 crores with a matching from the industry. Rare earth element-based permanent magnets are much more efficient. As all of you know, they are less weight, they are much more cost efficient, their reliability is high, their power density and controllability is also high. The good thing is about rare earth is that India has enough rare earth resources, and the government is separately launching with the Department of Atomic Energy and the Rare Earth Corporation of India a major mission to extract rare earths. And if we go in for the EV mobility, we believe that we would need at least rare earth oxides of approximately 2,000 tons to meet the demand under the electric vehicle mission. So a three-pronged strategy has been worked out. The extraction and purification process will be done by the government. The development of rare earth materials-based permanent magnet and manufacturing of motor drives would be done through a public-private partnership between government and industries. And the third part of the whole R&I initiative, the Research and Innovation Initiative, is the electric vehicle power electronics and control systems. This is an area where I'm afraid we have very little expertise. All major EV systems, are based on power conversion devices, electronic control systems, on power electronics, motor drives, regenerative braking, battery management system, battery charging devices, and so on and so forth. So we would need controller area network, transmit communication messages, and so on and so forth, which therefore would require a very strong power electronics setup to be set up that could lead into development of high efficiency and rugged power electronic devices for chargers, motor controllers, inverters, user interface control, so on and so forth. So this is a big need where I think we have to look at also a huge amount of maybe international collaborations that is required to really leapfrog in this area of research and innovation. The good thing is that we are now all working together, and I would therefore very strongly request all of you to be in constant interface with the Department of Science and Technology and Department of Heavy Industries as we are about to launch the FAME program where we would collectively address all these issues. What is important for us also is to realize the fact that if we talk of electric vehicle, we should talk of clean electricity also. That is a separate issue that needs to be addressed. As of now, I see even 50% of our energy basket in coming years will come from coal. And if that be so, where do we generate the electricity for the electric vehicles? So we have to look at that segment, and some of you did talk about the smart grid system, integrated energy systems, and so on and so forth. That needs to be parallelly a reliable energy to charge your vehicles and batteries is very, very important. That is an issue that needs to be separately dealt into and looked very closely by the government. So what's important for us is not to miss the bus. It is very important when the electric vehicles come, a lot of our ancillary manufacturing units would have to completely change course. Otherwise, we are looking and staring at a huge job loss. And therefore, we cannot just sit idle. It's important for us, therefore, to pull up our socks and work collectively and address this issue. Come what may, we cannot avoid the fact that electric vehicles will come down the line, if not 20 years, 30 years down the line. We'll see that in a big way coming in all the markets around the world. And if India can take a lead, it is not only going to serve its own market, but a huge market, which I can see in the neighboring countries, Far East and Africa, which actually looks up to India to provide affordable solutions to challenges that are much more pervasive and much more larger to meet the needs of our local society. Thank you very much. I would love to interact with you and through the ASSOCHAM forum to constantly give us this feedback and loop so that we are able to advise and adopt the best policies that are required to push this forward. Thank you once again.